Blessed be the fruit. Today we are going to speak on our shadow selves and how it's important to integrate the shadow self and also the light being that we are. When you are not able to integrate both, there is no totality and there is no oneness in oneself. You're either leaning this way or you're leaning this way because you're not integrating both of them in harmony. Your shadow self is not anything to be shameful of, fearful of, not feeling worthy of. We all have a shadow aspect to ourselves, and some just choose to integrate it and some choose to ignore it. Your shadow self is basically the unconscious aspect of yourself that keeps showing up either as a dysfunctional pattern. It shows up through triggers with other people. It shows up in addictions. It shows up in your projections onto other people. And you have different archetypes as well. You have the victim. You have the self-sabotager. Like, these are all archetypes that we take on with our shadow selves, and sometimes people don't realize it. But if you begin to have communication with others and you observe other beings as they're speaking and moving around in your cipher and you spend time with them, you will be able to witness a shadow aspect of someone. When we end up integrating our shadow selves, and a lot of this is through Carl Jung's teachings, you have this powerful force because you begin to learn how to pull from an aspect of this energy or an aspect of this energy. Everybody loves the lighter side of things because it's very passive and it's very light-hearted. It's all of those things, right? Which is very beautiful. However, nothing in this world can birth itself without going through an aspect of darkness. And this is why everything black is so, one, mysterious, two, it becomes like this: black cats, black this, because nobody wants you to tap into that aspect of yourself, which is darkness. I would say the most powerful aspect of you dwells in the darkness of yourself, because that's where the majority of your things are hidden. Your abuse, your traumas, your weaknesses, what you may consider to be weak, a lot of your shame, your guilt, all of that is suppressed within that shadow aspect of yourself, which still has to be a part of the collaboration of you, because it is the totality of you, right? You'll recognize the shadow aspect of yourself, which is usually revealed when you're by yourself. Like in front of people, you are very animated and you know who you need to be, what you need to be in order to get through being with someone. But when you're at home, it's when the doors are closed that you cry. You may have certain thoughts. You might feel some type of way. All of those dark emotions and feelings is that shadow aspect of yourself. When we begin to acknowledge that we are both light and dark, and we embrace both of them in harmony and love, and we connect ourselves to both of them, you begin to pull some of that energy that you need into certain dynamics and certain spaces of yourself, right? You become this very enigmatic, mysterious individual, and not to others, but onto yourself, because it brings you into spaces that you don't get to enter into when there is only light. And you don't get to see aspects of yourself when there is only light. This life is not made to only be this easy peasy lifestyle. If anything, if you look at everybody everybody's life, everybody is going through shit, and everybody has a shadow self that they are going through, whether they are conscious of it or not. When you feel triggered, when you see the patterns of yourself that keep going to the same person, the same addiction, the same robotic way of yourself every day, that is when you need to pull from yourself the art of observance and not be so reactive. The more that you become reactive, the less you become observant, and you're not able to see yourself for all that you are, because you're playing one of those archetypes, which more than likely is being a self-sabotager. It could be a victim that you are playing in this narrative of yours, and you have these cycles, right? It's like this cycle that you constantly are in over and over again. That's why when you hear people say, I feel like I'm dating the same person but in a different body, that is your shadow self revealing itself to you. It has nothing to do with anybody else. The more that you begin to take accountability for your own bullshit, and you begin to take accountability for where you are in this moment, and stop playing the victim and stop self-sabotaging, the greater expansion you'll be able to see happen in your life, because you're not constricting yourself by all of these false narratives that you're telling yourself. So some of the ways that you can begin to work with your shadow self: 1, accept it. Acknowledge it, know that it's there, take accountability, and accept it, because this is a part of your reality. And it's never going to go anywhere. And the more that you ignore it, and the more that you're passive about it, and the more that you think it's not non-existent, is the more you begin to experience aspects of your life that just doesn't get any better, you know? And there's this part of you that just really needs to sit with yourself and be aware of the aspect of yourself that is living from the shadow aspect, and begin to use it intentionally. You know, most oftentimes you can get your journal and you can write down the triggers and emotions and, you know, the parts of you that you notice, you know, when you react, and when you're a quick reactor and you don't take the time to be still and observe why you're reacting in that way, that is a shadow. When you're in a relationship or even a friendship, wherever you're at, and you're in a conversation and you're talking about how everything around you is just fucked up and you can't believe this is happening to you, and oh my God, I can't believe this is my life. That's your victim. That is a shadow aspect of yourself. So we're giving these energies and these conversations, and we're dispersing it every single day, right? We're dispersing it. We're putting it out there every single day, but we're not conscious of what we're doing because we are on automatic pilot. We're dealing with the subconscious mind that has all of your emotions and feelings and memories and all of that stored. So whenever you're going out and something is a familiar, according to the memory that is in the subconscious mind, you get triggered. That is the part of you that you need to grab, metaphor, that you need to grab, write down, and ask why. Why am I responding like this again? Why do you always choose to go to this level of a situation when it can be here? It doesn't have to be so serious all the time, you know. And the shadow aspect of yourself is important, and it's the part of you that is going to need more of the attention than the lighter side of you, because I feel like everybody has somewhat mastered the love and light. It's just the love and light that we're in. I get it, you know, but you also have to honor the shadow aspect of yourself as well. As you begin to go through this process with yourself, there's going to be a lot of discomfort. There is going to be a lot of emotional things that are going to come up, because now you're giving knowledge and attention to something that is just dwelling within you that hasn't been worked on. And self-acceptance in the totality of yourself is important. I don't feel like we really get to the versions of ourselves that we desire because we're just so used to being passive with ourselves and, covering it up with drugs, alcohol, sex, and, things that make you feel good for whatever extended amount of time, even if food or, shit like that. So that's going to be part of the process. Dealing with your shadow self is going to bring up a lot of things, because right now we are in ignoring mode. Sometimes people don't want to admit that they have a dark aspect or a dark element to themselves. And so, it's just part of this journey, and I feel the more that you begin to honor the elements of yourself and the timing of this message, if you are sitting and watching this, of yourself, because everything starts with you, right? We can play the victim all day long, and you can accuse others for what they've done to you, and some of them may seem valid, but at the end of the day, everything that you hold in this moment while you're watching me, you have to ask that everything that has happened to you in the past, is it happening to you now? More than likely, the answer is going to be no. The only reason why you get triggered, and the only reason why you feel anger, and the only reason why you might get into abusive relationships and have the same patterns and go through the same thing, is because you are not taking accountability for where you're currently at, and also not recognizing that everything that you're currently experiencing when you're triggered is just a reenactment through a memory. That's what a trigger is. A trigger is something that your mind is telling you, oh no, it's happening again, and it tries to protect you, right? It tries to protect you, and so then you tell somebody else that they're the problem, or you play the victim in a storyline, and all of that is a memory. There's nothing physically happening to you in this moment. So when you're able to grasp that concept, then things start getting a little deeper now, because before you begin to react, before you become a reactor, you become now this observer of the mind and the subconscious mind, and how it's choosing to protect you in certain situations, right? The shadow self is really something that is the unseen. I feel like I can feel, taste, touch, like all this. I can feel this is warm. This is, my plant. It's a safe space because I can feel it. I can touch it. I know that this is warm. I know that if I keep my hand here, it could burn me. If I feel the prickly things on here and I push it too much, I know it's real because I can feel that it's real, and I know that to be true. So I can take my hand off of it at any time so that I'm safe. That is what your subconscious mind does. That is what the mind does when it feels that it's being triggered, right? But you have to be the one that dives into the abyss of yourself and acknowledges this, and tell yourself that it's okay if we have to dive in here. Like, let's just dive in. You know what I'm saying? Let's just strip the falsehoods. Let's just strip the mask from our faces that we keep wearing for everybody else and ourselves for protection, and just dive in and get to feel these emotions. Not react, but get to feel through these emotions, and to really get to understand what you are. Not who you are, because that's an identity, but what you are, which is an infinite being with limitless possibilities. And we've been raised to be very fearful, and sometimes we're even fearful of ourselves. If we dive too deep, what is going to happen? If I show this aspect of myself, what are people going to think? If, I choose to let this out of my life, how is that person going to feel? it's a people pleaser. That's a part of a people pleaser mentality. I mean, who gives a fuck? Who cares? You have to be in a space where you are the only thing that matters in your reality. And not only do you have to believe this, but you have to know this because this is true. This is your world. This is your cipher. Everything in it dwells in it because of you, right? Your power lies in being able to be that dark femme aspect of yourself, that's demanding, that has boundaries, that speaks her truth, that fucking knows her worth. It's not about being the fucking princess and being very passive and sure, no problem, when really deep down, you're like, no, I want that Kalima energy where you got your swords in each hand and you're just ready to take off people's fucking heads because you are tired of not living your truth and speaking what comes from here, right? And you know this because when anytime somebody comes and asks you something, that first initial response that you tell yourself within, nah, I really don't want to go, but you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and go. That no, I don't want to go is your truth. That is where you need to speak from, because this is what's going to happen. When you begin to live authentically, when you begin to live from your light and dark aspects, and you know where you need to pull that energy from and who or what you need to show up as, everything that people keep saying that you have to let go of will automatically do it itself. You won't have to have any of that work done for you. All you have to do is show up, be your authentic self, speak your truth, and everything that was built on the aspect of you that was a lie and was on a people pleaser will eventually remove itself all by itself, because now you're not on that same frequency anymore. Right? So I just highly suggest that, do some shadow work and really start sitting back and look it up. Look up Carl Jung, listen to some of his recordings. He's one of my favorites. That's what I started tapping into when I started getting into my shadow work. And just know that you are worthy and you are a badass that is full of beautiful parts of yourself that are able to maneuver accordingly. And once you're able to do that, then the world around you is going to expand and it's going to extend, and you're going to be taken to places that you never knew even existed, because the mind cannot comprehend that. All right, so peace. Blessed be the fruit. Know that you are blessed,